So far, jury selection has been a slow and tedious process, with Bundy's defense attorney sometimes taking more than a half an hour to question a prospective juror. While his attorneys handled the questioning, Bundy frequently conferred with the defense's jury selection consultant, an analytical hypnotist from Atlanta. At one point, Judge Edward Cowart lost his patience and told the defense attorneys, "The difficulty is that you have so many cooks over there, you don't know who is stirring the broth." When the second group of jurors was brought in, it became clear that pretrial publicity was a major problem. All 14 prospective jurors had heard of the Bundy case.
Is there anybody that had not heard about it? Okay. I thought that Ms. DePay, you were one of the ones that said that you had not heard about it.
Before yesterday?
Yes.
If it was before yesterday, I have not heard of it.
Tell us about the publicity portion. Is it a fixed opinion that you just can't lay aside?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct, yes.
I don't believe I've formed a fixed opinion. It would be very difficult to try to put away everything I have read.
It was pretrial publicity which brought the Bundy trial from Tallahassee to Miami. Too many people were familiar with the details of the Bundy case to select an impartial jury. It was because some of the prospective jurors were trading stories about Bundy that Judge Cowart decided to issue an order keeping jurors from talking about the case amongst themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen of the prospective jury, you again are instructed by the court not to discuss this case among yourselves nor with anyone else.
Even as Cowart leaned on the jurors and the defense counsel, he was careful to consider all of Bundy's requests. He decided today to grant Bundy all his files and his typewriter, which are currently in Tallahassee.
If jury selection continues at this present slow pace, it may not be until tomorrow before a jury is finally selected. In the meantime, Judge Edward Cowart has put both prospective jurors and court officials on notice that they may be here through the night. Robin Lloyd, Channel 4 News.
I'm as concerned with it as you are. And if
That would cause you any problem.
And I just couldn't see all this publicity. We'll be out of here at 7:15. Okay. Brings me up here. Came up with Mr. Teller. I wanted to try to see what was going to be on 6 o'clock so I could view it. That's all.
What do you think of the setup?
It's fantastic. Whoever, you know, I'm amazed. I had no idea anything like this.
The camera in the court seems pretty inconspicuous to you.
Not when I come up here. Have you found any?
As in the past 3 days of jury selection, Bundy's attorneys continued to closely question each prospective juror. The questioning follows a pattern. First, inquiries about the juror's private life, then a conference with the defense team's hypnotist who determines whether a juror will be sympathetic to Bundy, and finally questioning about the juror's familiarity with the case. The problem remains the same. Many of the jurors have already formed an early opinion about Bundy's guilt.
I have several friends who go to that school. Personally, when I look at him, he scares me. Okay.
With the continuing slow pace of jury selection, many members of the press have left, waiting until a jury is sequestered before returning. In the press's viewing area, many of the television editing booths are empty, and there are far fewer reporters and technicians than the estimated 200 that showed up at the start of the trial. Ironically, at this low point in media interest, Bundy's defense team decided to lash out at the television camera in the courtroom, asking the judge to disallow any single-directional microphones which can pick up sound at a distance.
If that is the case, it means they can also pick up communications that are going on at counsel table, and we would object to the presence of any such device in the courtroom.
It's my understanding there's been no direction of that toward counsel table, and if we find any such indication of that, we'll certainly do something about it.
Cowart assured the defense team that the press understands that the attorneys' conferences are sacrosanct. Bundy's defense team intends to file a motion once a jury is sequestered to have the courtroom camera removed, charging that it is disrupting courtroom activities. Jury selection, now in its 4th day, is expected to continue through tonight. Robin Lloyd, Channel 4 News.
It was 2 days ago that Judge Cowart ordered the prospective jurors called for the Bundy trial to not talk about the case amongst themselves. This evening, one of those jurors, Evelyn Rosillo, said almost all of the 50 potential jurors had traded stories about Bundy with each other. She said many of them thought he was guilty, and they were afraid of him.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, some people already found him guilty in there, as far as what I heard. I recall somebody saying that I already find him guilty anyhow, so I don't want to be on the jury trial. I specifically remember some man saying that.
That story was confirmed partially by another juror, Joan McElligott, but 3 others said they had not talked about the case in the jury room. Judge Cowart then called Rosillo and McElligott and excused them from jury duty.
It isn't that the court finds that you have done anything wrong, Doug. I think everything was an inadvertent situation. But I do find that the safety of the circumstances would say to us that I will excuse you from any further service. And
Minutes later, Cowart recessed the trial, but not before Bundy's attorneys filed a motion for another change of venue on the grounds that Bundy's past is too well known for a fair trial in Miami. Cowart is expected to take up that motion tomorrow morning. Robin Lloyd, Channel 4 News.
Still, we are encountering these problems that it is so pervasive, that it has been disseminated to such an extent throughout the community that it is difficult for us to find jurors here. And I would say
what would you suggest we do?
Well, Your Honor, that's
I like Reno, Nevada. Would you like to go there?
No, sir. What I want and what I'm asking for today is that this prosecution be continued until the effects of this publicity have died down.
Personally, when I look at him, he scares me.
Many of the prospective jurors in the Bundy trial have told Judge Edward Cowart they can't serve because they feel Bundy is guilty. They say they have already made up their minds that he killed the 2 Florida State co-eds a year and a half ago. But one woman who has been at the trial for the past 4 days and who frequently confers with Bundy has another impression entirely. Carole Boone believes Bundy is completely innocent. Some have called her his girlfriend. She prefers to be known as just a close personal friend.
Let me put it this way. I don't think that Ted belongs in jail. The things in Florida don't concern me any more than the things out west do. And those are the things...
You think these are trumped-up charges?
I don't think they had reason to charge Ted Bundy with murder in either Leon County or Columbia County.
Carole Boone says she first met Ted Bundy 5 years ago when they worked in the same office in Seattle, Washington. Since that time, she has followed him, helping him prepare his legal cases, from Utah, where he was convicted of kidnapping a young woman, to Colorado, where he is suspected of murdering another, and finally now to Florida. She believes Bundy has been tried by the media, not by the courts.
Frankly, he's in jail today because of his media problems and not... what I'm trying to say is that he's been tried by your profession and more than he has been tried in court. It's the media image that's kept him in jail.
Boone says she has twice been allowed to visit Bundy in jail since he was brought to Miami 6 days ago. She describes him as nervous, but cautiously hopeful. Robin Lloyd, Channel 4 News.
There's no such, this is something I have to get away from. There's no such thing as an ideal jury. It's something you have to fight against, to say, well, anybody who's against the death penalty is going to be a defense jury. That's not so. And anybody who's black is a defense jury. That's not so. Each person, you know, you have to fight against the tenets of the stereotype. And that's always in your mind. Stereotyping age or sex or race. And it's not fair because this is such a unique situation. Right hand.
Do you solemnly swear that you will well and truly try the issues between the state of Florida and the defendant and render a true...
Sit in the front seat and bring them all back out, Mr. Watson. Now.
Okay, now if you'll come right down, right here, come down front here, and I'll put you in this seat here. Let me get away from that mic if you hit your head on it. Let me hip you around here. Come right on around. All right. Take your time. Take your time. Now, here's the seat right there.
I will excuse you now to go with the court personnel to prepare your sequestration.
With that statement, 12 jurors and 3 alternates were officially selected in the Theodore Bundy murder trial. For most, it has been a frustrating and tedious week of jury selection. For accused murderer Theodore Bundy, it has been perhaps the most crucial period of the trial, a period in which he has either succeeded or failed in helping to choose a jury which is open-minded. To do that, Bundy relied heavily on a jury selection specialist, Dr. Emil Spillman, an Atlanta hypnotist. Spillman, who explains he studies the body language of prospective jurors, said he made recommendations to the defense team, but said Bundy, who is a former law student, made all the decisions.
My role is not to pick the jurors. I mean, after all, it's his life. And my role was to give them a profile
and say this would be a good juror. He made the decision.
Despite a gag order prohibiting Bundy from talking to the press, he did so at one point during a court recess and explained that he was taking the lead role in his defense.
Very much involved in my defense. And, you know, I suppose there's some speculation among spectators as to why I interfere. Maybe it's viewed as interference, but it's not that. That's the way I keep myself honed in on what's going on.
Bundy's attorneys have filed 7 motions with Judge Edward Coward, in most cases asking for suppression of evidence and suppression of key prosecution witnesses. Judge Coward has estimated that the trial will last for some 5 to 6 weeks, with more than 100 witnesses expected to be called to testify. Robin Lloyd, Channel 4 News.